Stream.
Oh, it's one of those days where everything's just not going right, which is good because this is what makes life exciting, hopefully.
Well, it's
Exactly.
Monday, guys.
Yeah.
That's
What
how
you didn't
Monday works.
see, what you didn't see was a couple of minutes ago was the fact that none of my equipment was
Yeah.
working, and it was just like, that'll teach me to clean my desk. Uh,
All right. Welcome everyone. Also for the ones who just last minute cleaned their desks. Hi, Steve. Um, we are very happy that you are here because today is very special. We will be talking about the amazing sprint review, right?
Yay!
So, Steve, do you mind sharing your
I
screen?
will share. I will share my screen.
Okay.
Where are you? There we go. Oh, it's
I'm
not like
very
it's the
happy
first
that
time
we
we've
see
done this. We should
some,
be. There we go.
yeah, we are seeing some familiar faces and some new faces, which is amazing. Welcome, everyone. All right. Yeah, Steve, why don't you do a little introduction?
Yeah, will do. So, hello everyone. My name's Steve Traps. I'm based in the UK. I'm a Scrum facilitator in the UK. Yeah, we've expanded across there as well. So, I'm a Scrum trainer with Scrum.org. I'm also a Kanban trainer with Pro Kanban. I'm a coach. I'm a Scrum master. I've got many different skills. I'm also a bit of a runner. And I went for my longest run in a long time yesterday. My legs are feeling it. So I'm standing up today just to try and stretch them. So you might see me bobbing up and down. That's not because the your camera's moving or I'm moving. So yeah, thank you for giving us some of your time this morning. Ziryan, can you introduce yourself better than I did then, please?
No, that's not possible, actually. I'm just like Steve, one of the co-founders of Scrum Facilitators and co-owners of Scrum Facilitators, but I'm mainly located in the Netherlands. And sometimes I like to bother Steve and Andy in the UK, and uh, also sometimes go to Singapore, where we are also located. Um, Yeah, so I'm in the lovely Amersfoort right now, and where we just a few days ago we had this amazing Scrum Facilitate Original Conference where you will get all the links and information on LinkedIn on it as well. So this was the commercial break, right?
Yeah, now let's get into why the
Right.
people are really here.
Yes.
Um, So we're sharing the screen and we've got a couple of things here. Now we normally say what the title is, sprint review, but I want to get into the nuts of this really quite quickly. When you're doing Scrum, the event is called the sprint review. I've heard it called the sprint demo, the sprint show and tell. And what hopefully we're going to be sharing over the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes longer, is that actually it's so much more than a demo. It's a conversation around a demonstration. Okay. So there's a conversation around it. Demonstration is important. It shouldn't be the only thing that's going on. And so keep that in mind. And language is really important within Scrum. It sets the intention, it sets the tone, it sets the purpose. And if you're saying, hey, it's the sprint demo, it's the sprint show and tell, it's kind of passive from the stakeholders. And what we're wanting is a review. We're wanting to hear stuff from them. But I'm going to keep that because we're giving away all the good stuff really early doors. Um, let's I was going to scroll down. So bit more of a we've done the sales pitch. We'd love for you to keep in touch with us. So there's our LinkedIn profiles. So if you want to get in touch with myself or Ziryan, please feel free to do it. So what does the actual Scrum Guide say about the sprint review? Well, we've got a link to the Scrum Guide there for you. So if you haven't read the Scrum Guide recently, please read it. It's actually 4 years ago, if it's since it last got updated. So I remember it was the 17th of November 2020. For some reason, that date stuck in my head, and I don't know why. I can't get it out. It's, I can forget the children's birthdays, I can forget all that, but that date in November, it's just ingrained. If you haven't read the guide recently, in the last 4 years, please go read it. So the review, the sprint review. Its purpose is to inspect the outcome of the sprint and determine future adaptations. The Scrum team, not the product owner, not the Scrum master, the Scrum team, putting that ownership, that accountability across the Scrum team, presents the results of its work to the stakeholders. Hopefully, you're having stakeholders turning up. I hear some teams just don't they just don't turn up and they're presenting to themselves, which is okay. But hey, as a Scrum Master, I'd be asking those questions of why the stakeholders aren't turning up and what's more valuable. What's more valuable for their time that they're not wanting to come and spend an hour, 2 hours with us. So the Scrum team presents it. And it's talking a conversation about progressing towards that product goal. And if you don't have product goals and you're doing Scrum, why not? We're going to be talking about the goals a little bit later on in some more meetups later. So anyway, during the event, Scrum team stakeholders review what's been accomplished. They talk, they have a conversation. Talk about what was accomplished and what's changed. Based on that information, we'll collaborate. And that's a key word. We collaborate about what we could do differently, what we could do better, what's important to our stakeholders, what's causing them pain. You, as a coach or as a product owner or as a team member, how can you help in removing that pain and easing that pain? Or, as it says here, adjust to meet new opportunities. It's a great conversation to have with your stakeholders about, hey, what's an opportunity that we could quickly grab hold of? Where are we lacking? And this is a great time to have that conversation. So the sprint review, we've underlined it and made it a different color. It's a working session. People are talking. It's not like I'm doing now, presenting. There's an aspect of that, but there's a conversation to it. Okay. Avoid limiting it to the presentation. They're not our words. They're the words from the Scrum Guide. And remember how the Scrum Guide is created? And it's created from people actually using Scrum in the real world. And all those good things that you're contributing to and coming back to Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org, who are the signatories to the Scrum Guide, Ken and Jeff, it's how we make it better. So this is lived experiences. Ziryan.
Right. Yeah, so let's dig a little deeper into quiz time with our own created myth of fact. So let's zoom into the first one, right? So we're gonna take the first one and give you an opportunity to put it in the chat. What you think if it is the sprint review is canceled if only 1 out of the 50 invited stakeholder joins. Is it a myth or a fact? Please let us know in the chat.
So what do we want people to say, myth or fact? Well, I can see the self-organizing myths are coming through. Good, yes.
Our myth. Okay, nice. Okay. We will get to these later as well with some real life examples of some teams we have coached. Well, if not canceled, you all say it's a myth. Well, maybe the sprint gets canceled. The sprint review gets canceled if you can't demo any work. So you don't have anything to show. And what do you think? Myth or a fact?
Yeah, it's a waste of time otherwise.
Yeah.
Definitely a waste of time. You're wasting people's time. Definitely. Should cancel it.
They don't agree with us.
What do they know? We're Scrum trainers.
Yeah, exactly.
What do they know? We live and breathe this.
Yeah, myth again, and Bob is trying to fool us, right? Again, it's a myth, so it's mocking us. All right, let's go to the next one. So, the product owner is mainly accountable for the sprint review. What do you think?
Is that word accountable?
Ah, ah. Oh, now it's getting interesting. So we have a myth,
Yeah.
the fact, and a lot of them really thinking, "Ooh, I'm not sure."
It's like weighing it up. Is it? What would I do? What would we do in our company? What would we do in our organization?
I see Gabriel busting here his thoughts like, "Oh no, it's a difficult one." All right, so this is a 50-50-ish myth fact. The last one, the let the product owner accept the work during the sprint review. Think it's a myth or a fact? Okay, myth. And even Sven Peter is really aggressive now with all the capitals, right?
Yeah, but Surely this is when they do, because this is when the team gives it over to them.
Yeah,
This is when the product owner decides to release, isn't it? So surely they'd need to accept it then.
yeah. If not then when?
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So, all right,
this is a gate, you have to go through, isn't it?
it's an important one. All right. So let's dig a little deeper in what the sprint, a few tips on how to do the sprint review, right? Because obviously most of them are myth, except for the third one, because that's very debatable, like you also mentioned. Um, so that the
Hang on,
product,
Ziryan. Ziryan, sorry. Are we saying that if only one stakeholder comes, it should run?
yes,
Are we saying that if there's no demo, if there's nothing to demonstrate, the sprint review should still happen?
yes,
Are we saying, and this is the controversial bit, are we saying that the product owner is mainly, and I love the English language for that mainly bit, mainly accountable for the sprint review?
yes.
Are we saying, sorry, I'm going to bring it back down again so you've got your eardrums. Are we saying that the product owner accepts the work in the sprint review?
No,
Well, that's just crazy. That's not
it's
how it
really
is in my
crazy.
org.
Yeah. So maybe some of us at least, Steve, need to redo the PSD check again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the sprint review is actually a really awesome opportunity to have the inspection and have the conversation with the stakeholders.
Hmm.
So just the other day, I was at one of our clients at a product owner community with a bank here in the Netherlands, and they invited me to talk about the sprint review. And as you all know, I'm not very good at talking, or I prefer to have a lot of engagement. So one of the questions I asked was, and I will ask this question to you as well, and feel free to put it in the chat, or if you want to explain, unmute yourself. In your context, when does the preparation for the sprint review begin? So
It's
how
a
many
great
days
question.
before the actual sprint review?
So the question is, when does the preparation
Preparation
for
for
the
the
sprint review actually begin?
actually begin? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you have after sprint planning, from the sprint planning. Yeah. So in that bank, they said like, okay, one of them said the last 3 days of the sprint we are dedicating to preparing for the sprint review. Some of them said, okay, we also have like a product backlog item, but they didn't say product backlog. They said we have a user story
Yes.
to
Good use of language.
we have a user story for preparation of the sprint review. But
Oh, Zirian, was
actually,
it as a product owner I want to have a sprint review?
oh, I didn't ask. I should have
You
asked.
should have asked because
I should have
that's
asked.
what I reckon it would have been.
I'll ask next time. I'll ask next time. No, but actually it was. I'm really happy to see some of the questions or some of the responses here, because it's the sprint review preparation begins at the sprint planning. Exactly, because like we mentioned in the sprint planning, um, the whole idea is to think about, okay, so how is the sprint valuable, right? We're talking about the sprint goal. We're talking about how does the sprint goal actually contribute to the whole of our product goal, right? So how are they connected? And that's actually the moment where you think about, um, hey, what are the hypotheses that we want to do? Begin with the end in mind, right? So if this is what we want to have, what are the assumptions that we want to test with our stakeholders, right? And more importantly, which stakeholders should we invite? So this is one of the reasons why we say, okay, the product owner is mainly accounting for sprint review, because it's also combined like gathering feedback on your product and your product backlog, right? So if you think about which stakeholder do we want to be there, the product owner can think about, but more importantly, the developers take ownership of, I really want feedback from these stakeholders, because these
Mm.
are the stakeholders that we are building for, right?
I mean, it could be stakeholders in the product, but it could also be their peers. It could be, hey, we're developing this and I want to have an opportunity to show you how it works. And hey, we're all busy people. So if you could then, as a developer, and I mean, by words developer, I mean anybody that adds value to the product, it doesn't have to be a software dev.
Mhm.
So you're wanting to share your knowledge and what you've done with busy people. Sprint review is a great time. And because hopefully you've got a end-to-end demonstration, but even if you haven't, it's still a conversation to have.
Yeah,
So, but what
exactly.
about the Scrum Master? Why was the Scrum Master involved?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because the Scrum Master then can really facilitate having these conversations, right? Having this conversation, making sure that um, that the rest of the Scrum team really thinks about, are we inviting the right stakeholders,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Um, have we thought about what experiments are we running? Have we thought about with the end in mind on, okay, this is what we want to achieve. So how do we inspect if we are doing the right things, right?
yeah.
So
Also, remember, I mean, hey, Andy Hiles throws this metric at me, so I'm going to throw it back to you, Ziryan, and anybody else. What is the one metric that Scrum asks for?
yeah, exactly. We have discussed this before, right?
We have, yeah.
If it's not done,
It's not done. So,
yeah,
we need at least one done increment, at least once during the sprint. And so the Scrum Master should be involved in thinking about the sprint review, in sprint planning, and
yeah,
saying, hey, folks, you're trying to go for this goal. What I'm hearing, it sounds like it's achievable. We're confident, or, whoa, actually, what we sound like we're doing is not achievable. There sounds like there's a problem here. Remember, I, as a Scrum Master, am accountable for the process, and the process is saying that we should have at least one done increment at least once during the
yeah,
sprint. So I'm, as a Scrum Master, equally involved in this as well, thinking about the planning, thinking about the organization. So
yeah,
it's that collective accountability
yeah.
that's
And
really
then
key.
and there is no done, right?
No, there is no, no, there's no done. I used to work at an organization where I'll tell you this story very quickly, in which they say, is that done or is it done? I was like, what? What's the difference? Oh, well, done is when it's really done. So what's done? Oh, that's done-ish. Well, don't call it that then. That's like complete, and Ziryan needs to do some work. Then it needs to go to Sven Peter. Then we're done. Call it done when that get. No. We have that. We have a done and a done column. It's like, oh wow. Maybe we
Wow.
should have a dum column as well. But
Yeah.
hey, that's a different conversation. But hey, look, these are the opportunities that we find. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now that we have achieved like the importance of the sprint planning in having an effective sprint review, there are some tips for a good sprint review. And
yeah,
always tell like, hey, as a product owner, start with the why. When everyone is there in the room, either or virtually, always start with the why. Start with the purpose. Start with, again, reminding everyone of what the product goal is, right? And how the sprint goal is linked towards achieving the product goal.
yeah. And I just want to underline what Ziryan said there. I heard a quote from the vision, all other decisions are made. So retelling that vision, that why. Remember, you've got people that might not be fully involved in your product all the time. So stakeholders coming in, just, hey, we're building X and this is the reason why. And just so you bring them back into that conversation. So reiterate the why. Sorry, Zirian.
No, exactly, and that's why it's so important, because it's about setting the stage in the beginning, right? So you are looking back. This is the reason why we are here. This is the reason why I invited you specifically as a stakeholder. So mind you that I say explicitly. So it's not like, hey, I don't know why the stakeholders are not here because I have sent the invitation, the thorough invitation months ago. They know that we are having the no, that's not stakeholder management, right? Stakeholder management is getting like the attention. Okay, this sprint is very valuable for you, so I need you to be at a sprint review for XYZ.
Hmm.
And also very respectful to the stakeholders to tell them, hey, I have sent you the invite before. and this is the content of the sprint. This is the hopefully outcome of the sprint. Probably is not something for you. Can you revisit? And if you're not there, it's totally fine. So not inviting stakeholders explicitly is also a very good practice and very respectful to the stakeholders, right? Imagine that you're having like the senior leadership. They're
Mm.
maybe it's not valuable for them to be there in every sprint review.
We'd
But
like them to be there, but yeah, maybe
yeah,
it's for this bit, there isn't.
yeah. But that's actually what you as a product owner really think about in advance, and the developers can help you on which stakeholders really need to be there. But this
Mm.
is where your stakeholder management capabilities come in play, right?
Ziryan, can I change that word?
Oh, yes, please.
Stakeholder engagement,
Yeah.
not management. Hey, how do we feel when we are being managed?
Mm,
It's just a bit like, oh,
yeah.
we get a pokey stick and stick and poke you into a meeting. I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Stakeholder engagement is something different.
Yeah.
It's we want you to be there. We want your advice. We want so if you, it's just that again, language is really important. So
Mm,
stakeholder engagement. It's kind of that active process. I need to engage. I need to talk to my stakeholders as a product owner, as a scrum master, as a developer. So, and vice versa. So anyway, sorry.
yeah, this is nice that we have our AI companion. AI companion, can you please strike through stakeholder management and replace it by stakeholder engagement? Thank you. Uh, so that's also in writing and in video is good. No, but it's actually you start with looking back.
Yeah.
Also tell about okay, so how are things going? Why are we doing this, right? If you feel like I have bored everyone for the last past months, do it again. Because there might be ways that it still resonates and they get new ideas. So
Mhm.
always, 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 always do it. Maybe in the beginning you will take some more time, and the further you go, it will take less time, but don't skip it. Communicate why these are valuable and how it leads to the product goal. All right.
Mm.
And then the second part of the sprint review is actually, well, we're here to gather feedback, right? We're here to have that conversation. And yes, a demo can be part of gathering feedback. Yes, it's very well possible. So we're not the Scrum police saying, no, demo shouldn't be there. No, a demo can be part of gathering feedback. Just like simulations. Maybe you can have like the physical process in place or any other things, whatever, just as long as you have options to gather feedback. And
But we
also,
should be showing a done increment though. If
exactly.
it's not partial done, it's not done-ish. It's hey, if you want this to go, we're happy to go.
Yeah.
So, and I've just to talk about that demo of something, the fact that
Mhm.
you've got stakeholders in that conversation, and I've worked at an organization where we shared a QA environment, and our definition of done was it was cleared QA. So having a conversation in which we couldn't get into QA because there was only one environment, and we all have to go through, think of it as an airport and a plane's trying to land. We need to get onto that runway. No, we've got no time this sprint. We can't land this. So to be able to say to our stakeholders, hey, we have got an issue. Part of our definition of done is to be able to go through QA. We weren't able to do it because of the environments and because of we couldn't spin up another environment from a budget constraint or whatever reason. The stakeholders here and they say, oh, well, what do you need from us? Hey, well, we need a business case to get some, another environment or be able to separate environments out, that kind of stuff. So they're actually hearing the pain that you're going through and also being able to work out how can I support that? How not support the pain? How can I remove that pain? And they hear it. So not always having a done increment is valuable. I'm trying to dance my words through. Not having a done increment is equally as valuable as having a done one. That's what I'm trying to say, in which the conversation will change depending on which you are. And
Yeah,
hopefully, if your stakeholders are engaged, they will help resolve some of these issues for you.
exactly. And that's one of the reasons why the sprint review still continues, even if you don't have anything to show,
Yeah.
right? So it's about having conversation. It's about the transparency of how things went, of sharing the stuff like, hey, it is difficult, right? And ultimately what you want to do is in the sprint review, it's the gathering feedback is very interactive. You can have breakout rooms, you can have whatever, but it's all about validating the assumptions. Like, okay, does it work? Doesn't work? You see the trash bin. All right, some ideas might be worthless or turn out to be worthless, and some of them generate new PBIs,
Mm.
right? So it's all about having the conversation, and this, and I also sometimes ask like, really think about on how you ask the feedback question, right? So you have a product backlog item that you want feedback on. Don't just say, can I have feedback? No, be explicit about where you want to have feedback on. If we're talking about this visualization, right? And we ask feedback like, hey, can you give feedback about this visualization? It can go everywhere. Some people might not like the green, right? It's too bright. Well, but that's not, I'm not going to change it anyway. So why should I ask? So if it would be a good feedback question, would be, is the text readable to everyone? That's a very specific feedback question. And this is also how you should go about in a sprint review when you ask feedback of the stakeholders,
Mm.
right? So be very specific on where you want to have feedback on, because nothing is more disrespectful than asking feedback while you know you will not change it anyway, right?
Or oh, we'll stick that in the product backlog
Yeah,
response where it's just going to fester at the bottom of the backlog until
yeah.
you move on.
Just because we don't dare to say no,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
There's another powerful question. What has interested you the most about this?
Hmm.
So that's the key thing in their head. Oh, I like the Green Mountain. Okay, cool. I like the visualization, the text, kind of thing. And it makes people it changed the conversation of do you like it? Yes, no. What has interested you the most about this?
Yeah,
Stop, think, oh, that did. Okay. Again, it's that stakeholder engagement. You're learning more about them.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And then once you got that feedback, it's time to look into the future. And this is the actual coolest part where I also have the give the stakeholders the opportunity to present stuff. And they're like, huh? Do they have an active? Yeah, they get homework. I call them after the sprint planning. I tell them, okay, this is the sprint goal. This is this is why you're needed, and please give us insights in the marketplace, in how this product is being used, and so on. This is your homework, dear stakeholder. So it's not only a party for the Scrum team. No, it's a party for all involved, right? Everyone has an equal share in this as well. Because
mm.
can you imagine? Just imagine if all the stakeholders are here. We are not talking about the landscape. We are not talking about the market. We'll probably need a new session for that. Oh man, another session.
Another meeting to fit into my already busy schedule to get everybody that's in this meeting back in a different room.
Yeah. So why waste this very awesome moment that everyone is there anyway?
Mm.
Right? Give them some homework. Let them know, please present how our previous sprints and sprint goal, how they have turned out. Share that with us. Are there any complaints? Are there any, how's the revenue going? How are other stuff going? What are our
Yeah.
competitors doing?
What impact is this having on our customers that
Yes.
you're hearing? Are we made a positive? Is it a negative? What's going on?
Yeah.
How are we alleviating your worries and pain?
Exactly. And this is also the opportunity to talk about the roadmap, right? So
Mm,
how does the product backlog look like? So if you're talking about Scrum and we're talking about roadmap, that's actually giving an insight in what the product backlog looks like, right? So maybe another visualization instead of one list, but it still is your product backlog,
yeah,
right? So how does it connect the future? How does it connect to the OKRs, to the KPIs, to the vision, to whatever?
yeah. My favorite roadmap, not that anyone's asked, is now next future.
Hey, Steve,
Just
Steve, what's your favorite roadmap?
oh, I don't have one.
If
No,
if if
it's
you
now
think,
next future. Just because it sets that expectation. Hey, we're doing this now. That's the next. Future is over there somewhere. But hey, as a stakeholder, we're not picking that bit up until next. That's not coming next. That's in the future. And if they want more detail, and as long as we've got empirical evidence behind us to back that up, we can go into that detail.
yeah,
So yeah, just
and
setting the expectations.
yeah, and I also in the sprint review, I also ask, okay, so if this is what we are going to do next, which stakeholders should be involved? Ask the
Cool.
stakeholders that question as well. So it's not only for the Scrum team to think about it, but also for the stakeholders. Oh, you should really invite Jane from customer care,
Mm,
because this will have impact on our customer satisfaction, right? She needs to be their next sprint review. All right, thanks, thank you. Yeah. So Sandra is asking, will you share these slides with us after the meeting? Yes, we'll share the mural link where all the previous ones are in it as well, and also the link to the YouTube.
yeah. I was about to zoom out, but that might just send everybody's like you your brains too much.
Yeah,
There's all the other previous episodes, and this is episode 7, so available to you as well. So it's not
right.
just sprint review.
Yeah. Steve,
Cool.
can you
Thank you,
take us
Sandra.
like tips for some productive sprint review, just as a
Yeah, I mean, it's just actually, I just want to make sure you lovely folks that have spent some time with us, you can download this uh
infographic?
infographic. Yeah, the diagram was the word up, but infographics even better.
Yeah.
So you can download it, print it out, send it out to your teams, give it to your scrum masters, give it to your team, say, look, give it to your stakeholders. This is what the expectation should be. Okay. It's not going to be a dull, oh, we're pressing this thing here.
Um,
And also,
I,
some of the best product owners I've worked with have been the best storytellers. Learn how to tell a story. If you're a scrum master, a coach, teach your product owners to tell stories. A sprint review should not be a dull kind of going through each item in the backlog and doing this and doing that. You remember the difference between a daily scrum and daily stand up? There's a conversation there. So
and
tips.
Steve, just one more thing about this infographic. Last week when I was at this bank, one of the product owners actually said, I'm going to use this in our next sprint retrospective. Mind you, this is product owner, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to use this in our next sprint retrospective with the Scrum team to see which areas of the sprint review is actually effective and which not.
brilliant.
Oh, it can also be used to inspect your current sprint review process um, within the
Nice.
Scrum team.
A cool idea.
And it's for free. And it's downloadable for
Yeah.
free. Yeah.
So some tips for a productive sprint review. We've already spoken about these really. So share the product vision, share the product goal, share the sprint goal. From the vision, all other decisions are made. The goal is moving towards the vision. The sprint goal should be supporting those product goals. So no increment, still have the event. It's always good to have a conversation. It sets expectations. And again, it's a demonstration around a conversation. It's not the be all and end all. And yes, if you're working on APIs and you're thinking, oh, my product's not sexy, it just changes that thing over there. Again, talk about a story, how it impacts a user, what value is it going to bring? How are we going to change someone's life? And if you're struggling to find the value in it, maybe we should be talking about, are we working on the right thing?
Yeah.
So talk about budgets, roadmaps, future direction, and prepare for the sprint review at the sprint planning. Okay. So think about conversations. If you're not, and again, I really want to reiterate, sprint show and tell, sprint demo, sprint review. If you are not having a conversation with your stakeholders, you are not having a sprint review. You're doing something else. It could be very, very similar. Where I'm on the stage, I'm presenting. If you're not having a conversation, if you're not getting that feedback, it's not a sprint review. Remember, it's a conversational framework, is Scrum. You need to be having those conversations. Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefits. So think of it along those lines. So, my lovely people, do you have any questions for us? And apologies for running over a little bit, but we kind of try and get this done in 30 minutes, and then we throw it over to you for any conversations around sprint review or the topic that we're talking about. So, do you have any conversations? Got that word in my mind. Any questions for us, for Ziryan and myself?
I have a question, Winston here.
Hi, Winston.
One of the questions you asked earlier was the main accountability lies with the product owner. Many of us said myth, and the sprint review also refers to the team, the Scrum team, rather than the product owner. So, could you just shed a bit more light on that aspect of your why you said fact there?
Yeah. So the word here is mainly.
Hmm.
If where the daily Scrum is actually for the developers, I see this, or we see the sprint review as one of the biggest vehicles to have the conversation around with the stakeholders around what is going on and about the product backlog and so on and so on. So this is the opportunity for the product owner to have that conversation. So that's also why we say, okay, indeed, everyone has a stake in it, but to us, the product owner actually should um, just imagine. Sometimes we also see like, okay, that a Scrum Master invites the stakeholders for the sprint review, right? So, and the stakeholders then think it's a Scrum Master thingy, while it's actually the product owner is there to have like the stakeholder engagement. The product owner is there to gather the feedback, to think about, okay, so what are we going to do next? What are we going to, why are we doing this at all? Right? So the product owner should feel the most pain if the sprint review is not going to happen. So this is also the question we've put it to, is to have this conversation with it, because if your product owner doesn't feel accountable for the success of the sprint review, then you have a very nice opportunity to have a conversation with the stakeholder or with the product owner about this. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that. Still, I do see the role of the Scrum Master in getting the right people there and talking to them and coordinating, and even the developers probably presenting or answering
Yeah.
questions. As it might be a different aspect of the review, but it's still an important aspect. But thank you for explaining. I understand your point of
Yeah.
view.
It's that team effort.
Yeah.
But I always say that the sprint review is the lifeblood for the product owner. It is a formal opportunity for them to engage with their stakeholders at least once. So that's why that is mainly accountable. But product owners should be engaging all the time with their stakeholders. It's just that this is a formal opportunity. If it's not happening during the sprint because of other reasons, this is that opportunity. So therefore, get the most out of it as a product owner. There's problems obviously getting to your stakeholders. So make sure you get as much out of this as possible, because it is where we're presenting and presenting a demo and having a conversation around stuff. So got some questions coming in. So the first one, new rule. Sorry if I've mispronounced your name. Apologies if I have. Which one is better for project manager between Scrum and smart methodologies? I'm not sure what you mean by smart methodologies. Are you able to elaborate? New rule? Are you there? You're muted if you're talking.
Yes, I mean smart methodologies means specific, measurable, attainable,
Realistic
reliable, and time bound. This is actually using by Google.
okay. I haven't had any experiences of those, so I couldn't really comment. Ziryan, have you used anything along those lines at all? Or?
Yeah, I use it as a practice to formulate goals, for example. So if we have goals, then one of the practices that I can use is, okay, is the goal SMART, right? But that's one of the practices that I tend to use. But it's not something that in my opinion that you can formulate like, okay, this is Scrum and this is SMART. No, this is Scrum, and SMART is a practice that you can use within Scrum to make it more effective. Does that help?
Okay, got it.
Okay. Next question. What would Sven Peter?
Wow.
What would you like to add or remove from the Scrum guide concerning the sprint review? What would you like, he said, as a facilitator, throwing it back to Sven Peter.
No, I was asking you the question, Steve.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. What would I like?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Question is for you, Steve.
I know, it's for both of us. What would I like? That's a good question. I'd like a different style from what I'm seeing within, and for it to be specific. I don't know if it could be even more specific, just for people practicing it Scrum out in the real world, and move away and really say it is not just a demonstration. And it does talk about that. So it's kind of just, it's just reinforcing that message, because I have seen and been party to so many sprint reviews, and I'm going to actually, they're not sprint reviews, they're demos and show and tells where value hasn't been present at the end. You know, people say, well, what's the point of doing that kind of thing? And it's undermining empiricism for what we need within Scrum. I'd actually like more emphasis on product owners taking the mandate around budget and roadmaps, and actually feeling confident and comfortable of saying, hey, something has changed. We're now going to go into a, I know we did a Gantt chart at the start of the project, but now that has changed, and feel comfortable and confident to bring that up, as opposed to just going through it. So it's that empowerment, I suppose.
Okay, so highlight the importance of the product owner and his accountabilities.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
And Ziryan, have you got any?
No, I actually did. This also kind of ties into the question that Idris has. So she says, can you explain how the PO is mainly accountable for the sprint review? Well, this is it indeed. Like the place for the product owner to gather that feedback, but also to make that tough decision on budget, on this was where we thought we would do, but we experimented and this is the outcome, and based on this outcome, we're going to do something else. Right?
Yeah, I would love to actually like for them to actually highlight those levers that they are pulling as a Scrum, as a product owner within.
Or maybe even add the sentence, the preparation for the sprint review begins at the sprint planning. add that one to it. Hey, and there's another question from Dennis. What is the key takeaway the team should make after the sprint review? And with team, I think you mean the Scrum team, right?
Can't see if Dennis. Yep. Okay. Yes. See.
So to me, the key takeaway would be: have we validated our assumptions that we want to make? And do we have first-hand insight in what the stakeholders think about a product and how it is evolving? So it's all about the first-hand information. So what one of during the accountability of the product owner, we also discussed, like, the product owner is not a gatekeeper between stakeholder and developers. her main job is to make sure that they are connected. Right. So if within a sprint review, the connection is there and they get the first-hand information, that's a very beautiful outcome.
And I would say that for me, the key takeaway is empiricism has been the transparency, inspection, adaptation. It's an event. So it's along those lines, kind of the making sure that everybody understands the current situation we are. We are then inspecting, and based on that inspection, we're adapting. And that could be adapting the product backlog, could be adapting the budget, could be adapting anything. So the empiricism's there. What's next? What does an optimum preparation of a sprint review include?
Yeah, I get triggered by the word optimal. Like, is there a thing optimal? I think for every team it is different, but there are some things where you need to take into consideration. Like, have you thought about how to facilitate the conversation? Have you already thought about, okay, are we going into the breakout rooms? Are we going or having other facilitation techniques? And this is where the Scrum Master can support in as well, right? Can think about how are we getting that valuable feedback, right? So to me, it's actually, if you also think about how you can make sure that empirical process is embedded in the sprint planning, that is the optimal preparation to me. And how it looks like can be differently, but these are questions that you need to answer.
Does that help? Bob's gone.
Yeah,
Dennis, thank you.
Vicky says,
Vicky, how do you approach a sprint review with a non-done increment?
Yes, those are the most beautiful ones.
That's where you earn your stripes.
Go ahead.
For me, I'll ask the product owner to tell the stakeholders prior to the meeting, prior to the event, hey, we've hit some issues this sprint and we'd like to talk to them about them in the sprint review. There isn't a done increment to be shown, but that doesn't mean there isn't a great conversation to be having. So you're setting the expectation beforehand, and also encourage them to still attend, even though that they might not be seeing what they're expecting previously. So it's just forearm is to forewarn. So it's having that conversation up front, because you kind of know, beforehand how the sprint's going. So as a Scrum Master, and if the product owner, is like, oh, I can't do it, Scrum Master, I will go have that conversation with the stakeholders as well.
Yeah. And this, why I really love this scenario is because this is the moment where the Scrum values really come to life. Because you really notice if Scrum values are present when you are situated in a bad moment. So obviously, not having an increment is not something that people get energy from, right? But in those moments, if you can be open about it and you can take the courage to really tell, hey, it has been really bad previous sprint, we haven't been able to make a done increment, and at the same time we do want to have the conversation with you, well, how powerful is that?
And even if you have multiple sprints where you don't have a done increment, I've had this before, and I was coaching two teams, because obviously the stakeholders go, well, this is the same situation as we were in last time. That was a month ago, maybe. And the month before that, we didn't have a done increment. What is going on? Just actually talking about those issues that this organization is facing and the teams working in that organization are facing, just highlighting it out. I had one team that were working on the same or similar kind of area in the product, kind of obfuscating the fact they didn't have a done increment. They were saying it was done, but it was done-ish, which is, not being very truthful. One that was saying, no, we haven't got anything. And the response by the stakeholders was like, they saw that the first team was really great and really positive. And, oh, that's the team that gets things done. But we were hiding the actual truth. What we want to be able to do is make sure that we're transparent and talk about it. You would still follow the same format, though, within the sprint review. Still share the product visions, share the goals, what happened. And there's even a better conversation that we had around, why we didn't achieve what we thought we were going to achieve when we did sprint planning. What went on, kind of thing. And again, engaging them in conversation around it.
Yeah.
And then do all the other stuff. What impact does not having a done increment have on the roadmap and the budget? Does that mean that the timeline shift out, or are we going to have a conversation? Sorry, you can hear the passion in my voice. Or do we have to have a conversation around scope? What's going to drop? We can't elongate time yet. But so, Vicky, does that help? Cool. Good. I'm very aware we've got 4 minutes left. Ziryan, you've got the mural. Great question. Sorry, Ziryan, murals. The conversation is even more important when there is no increment done. Yes, totally agree. This is such an awesome form. Okay, that's not question. Thanks. Okay, sorry. I was just reading out the feedback.
Do read it out loud, Steve. Do read it out loud.
Okay, this is such an awesome format. And Steve looks younger and younger every time I see him. Yes. It's really good that we can hear Steve talk more. We can discuss the Scrum Guide. The quality of the presentation is top notch. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm not going to read everything else out because I'm just going. My British gene is going to kick in and go, no, I don't want any stuff. But also, folks, thanks for giving us your time as well.
Yes.
So this is why we are Scrum facilitators. We not only train and coach, we hopefully give you valuable content, valuable stuff for free as well, because we are in your shoes and we're literally just a page ahead of you.
We are still in your shoes because these are topics that we're handling with daily with our clients.
Yeah.
We don't have the answer to them either.
Do you have a playlist available for the entire series on YouTube? No, but I'm going to create one. Because we've got a YouTube channel, and in fact, there's some more stuff going out there today. I think it's either going to be the overlooked practice or 3 things we wish we knew about before being a Scrum Master. So that's going to be on there as well. So have a look on that, and then you get to see myself again and Andy Hiles and other trainers as well. So, Ziryan, what are we doing next? As in, not now. What's our next talk going to be talking about?
That will be about the sprint retrospective.
Yeah. That's when we get to the nitty gritty of how we don't like who we work with, and we always focus on the negatives, and we do happy, sad, and glad things and stuff like that. That's the lifeblood of the Scrum Master.
And the moment where we also share like Bollywood songs. In one team, we started a sprint retrospective with sharing favorite Bollywood song, and every sprint retrospective was someone else, just to break the ice. So just, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you very much. If I'm going to give you 2 minutes left. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. The video will be going up on YouTube. Look out on Meetup for the next one, and please, if you can spare another hour with us, we'd love to see your lovely faces. And if not, then check us out on YouTube again. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye. Take care. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.